Good morning everyone and welcome back to News, the news program that cuts the crap and gives you the facts. I'm Serena Steele here, reporting from Wollongong, bringing you some big stories today. So let's get into it. The writer's strike is about the modification and monetization of how society views content in the evolving change from physical content to online content, and how this online content can be better distributed in order to create an equal playing field for both writers and content being distributed among big corporate entities fairly. And on the 1st of May 2023, there was a major shift in Hollywood as the Writers Guild of America, an alliance of motion pictures and television producers, could not come to an agreement on what the following contract will include and be agreed upon. This then led to the WAG writers' strike. As contract negotiations first took place on the 1st of May, it was proposed by the WAG that the writers' room would be preserved by putting minimum staffing standards in place. This included having a minimum of 6 writers, including 4 writer-producers in pre-greenlit rooms, in addition to this staff being granted at least 10 consecutive weeks of work. With post-greenlit rooms, 1 writer per episode up to 6 episodes, then 1 additional writer is required for each 2 episodes after 6 episodes, with a maximum of 12 writers, as well as writers getting at least 3 weeks of employment per episode, up to a maximum of 52 weeks. Half of the maximum staff must be employed through production, and 1 writer must be employed through post.
And action.
This was then completely rejected by the AMPTP with a refusal of a counteroffer. Additionally, streaming residuals are a big part of the original proposal. This included foreign streaming residuals, viewership-based streaming residuals, and ad-supported streaming residuals. The AMPTP responded to these proposals by countering with a much lower offer for foreign streaming residuals, rejecting and refusing to make a counteroffer for the WGA's proposal for viewership-based streaming residuals and ad-supported free streaming services. Another thing that was of main concern to the WGA was the use of AI to write or rewrite material. It was asked on the original proposal that the use of AI on NBA-covered projects were to be regulated. That AI cannot write or rewrite material, and the NBA cover material can't be used to train AI. This proposal was rejected, and the only counteroffer that was made was that the AMPTP will offer annual meetings to discuss advancements in technology. Finally, on the 27th of September, an agreement was made between the WGA and the AMPTP. This included coming to the agreement of having a certain number of writers in pre- and post-greenlit rooms. The agreement that was made for streaming residuals included increased foreign streaming residuals, viewership-based streaming bonuses, streaming data transparency, premiums for pilot and backup scripts, and having minimum terms for advertising-supported streaming. They also came to some major conclusions on the matter of artificial intelligence. AI has been rejected in the use of writing and rewriting literature. It cannot be used as a source material, and the NBA cover material can't be used to train AI. However, AI writing tools can be used to create written content, short stories, and drafting a screenplay. We now go to our interviews on the ground.
Thank you, Serena. We're here with Camille, who works in the screen and media industry and also teaches in it. I'm here with Felicity. Felicity is an outsider to the writers' strike. Hi, I'm here with Tom, who's a freelancer in the screen and media industry and also works in the screen and media industry. Hi, I'm here with Colin, who is a technical officer extraordinaire at the UOW campus for screen and media. I'm here with Reese, who's an outsider of the screen and media industry. Camille, how do you feel the Writers Guild is affecting your job?
I suppose it affects it mostly because it impacts upon the opportunities that we can offer to students for workplace and placements, internships, traineeships and things like that, and then in general just what work may or may not be available to them. Absolutely, and to how to navigate that for the moment and maybe into the near future.
At the moment it hasn't affected me much because I do more corporate rather drama, but certainly it has affected some of my peers and colleagues. Some of them actually have been out of work for quite a number of months because of the strike, and it's not good because they have to find alternative incomes, and sometimes it's not so much working in the industry but working outside the industry just to make ends meet. But for me, I'm quite lucky that I've got a couple of different areas that I work in, so it doesn't have much of an effect.
I don't think it's affected me too much at the moment. I suppose because we're a teaching education or a teaching facility. I suppose if there was less demand for people in the industry, that would affect enrolment numbers because of the number of jobs. But I haven't noticed any real impact. Also, the fact is that basically the writer's strike was really only affecting the US, or US productions.
So, as an outsider to the industry, what's your stance on the writer's strike? How do you feel about it?
I feel that they should get more money. I find it a little bit upsetting as a creative that their job could be replaced by AI. I wonder what kind of career my children will have, because my daughter seems quite creative too. And I think that writing is a great career and they should be paid their worth.
I actually agree and support it in that sense, because I don't particularly think it's, the production companies or even the distributors actually, they obviously have more of a say in what they want to do, and they're quite dominating and providing unfair conditions.
Yep.
It's not so much about the bigger celebrities and all that. It's more about the smaller players, the extras, as well as the ones who actually just do, who works in the industry overall. That plays a big effect. I support it, and I think it's about time that there's some fairness to it.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, I think it was probably necessary. Like I said, it probably didn't affect Australia too much. It was more of a US thing. But we all want good shows.
Yeah.
The more writers, the better writers, and the longer and the better they're paid. Hopefully we get better stories. We don't want to sit down and watch boring, crappy stuff. So we want stories to be good.
Yeah.
So if that means paying a little bit more residuals and that for Netflix and Stan and whoever, Disney and Apple, they want quality. They've got to pay for it. It's like anything in life. You've got to pay. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I think it's something that definitely is necessary, and I think people take writers for granted, or at least they did before the strike.
How do you feel about the advancements of AI and that taking over the industry?
I think it is kind of awful. I do understand that AI is a pretty impressive and powerful thing. The fact that it exists is crazy, but it is definitely something that is going to take away a bunch of jobs from people, and it's definitely not necessary for this industry, considering you've seen you can see with the pattern of AI, they follow what the AI thinks is correct, which isn't always the case.
Yes, absolutely.
Look, I think AI will advance. That's sort of what we know. How it will advance is really not known. We just know it's going to advance quite quickly, and is. And I think in light of how it will impact our jobs, I think we know it will have an impact. I think in some ways AI can be used in a positive way. In other ways, if we interact with AI to give our jobs to it, I think that becomes a problem. So I really respect some of the rules that are being put around it for the industry. I think that's a really great move, and I think they need to be dynamic, and governments need to be a little bit more able to respond to things a bit quicker, so that governments aren't responding with legislation in that very slow way, and the industry or AI space is flying along. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the tricky one now. The advancement of AI has changed rather rapidly. I think this has been in the making for quite some time, but the progression of it so rapid now that, and thanks to technology in itself, that it can be a bit daunting. For us, I work as a DOP in camera. In the camera department, it's not a huge problem, but it's for the actors that's a bit of a concern, and that concern is more obviously the intellectual properties, the rights of them, and so it is a wait and see game and see how the industry respond. And I know that the writers' strikes, that was part of their concern as well. So hopefully that's going to be resolved eventually.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do you feel about AI advancing and that in terms of jobs?
It's a little bit scary, especially because they are taking over the creative industry.
Absolutely. Did you expect riders to last this long in terms of the strike?
Look, no, not really. But then again, when I think about it a bit more, I think that they had to last this long because they needed to do that so that they could last and they could develop protocols and a space for themselves so they could last into the future. Without doing that, we would have had, or we will have, the streaming platforms, AI just running the show, and then we lose a lot of our original content and sort of our creativity in a sense, and that's really important. So I'm so glad they did, and hopefully that'll make a big change.
No, I was quite surprised that two sides of the fence has just been holding it off. Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, when they have a dispute, you know, everyone wants to have their, you know, wants their way. But it's good in some ways that they're coming to some terms of agreement. Yeah, and it's really good that you know, the riders are actually having their say and their opportunity to voice it out, and the production companies are feeling the pinch because obviously nothing's been happening. So that's, in a good way, it's a good outcome. But you know, for others, you know, they had to leave the industry temporarily just to survive. That was just the, you know, that's the unfortunate case.
Absolutely.
I thought it might go on a little bit longer, but considering that it's because once again, because it's based in the US, and because I think their springtime, when they're sort of there, I can't remember what they call it exactly, but when all the new episodes, new series comes out, it only just sort of is coming into that season now, their seasons. So it was always thought that maybe this could be the time that it would end, and it did. The writer's strike, then the actor strike.
Thank you to all the interviews. That's all for the writer's strike. Back to the studio.
Welcome back. I'm Ron Burgundy. Following a recent number of drug-related deaths at music festivals across Australia, pill testing and policies around the topic have become a hot topic of discussion. Pill testing involves a chemical analysis of illicit or unknown substances. Strip searching has also been taking place around festivals in Australia. The searches were among 4,477 conducted by New South Wales Police between July 2020 and May 2022. Of these, 108 were children aged between 10 and 17. Young people aged between 18 and 29 are accounted for 41% of strip searches. Men were strip searched 4 times more than women. 83 are general searches and 77 are strip searches across 5 New South Wales festivals in 2021 to 2022. According to the Commission's report, findings from the strike force have informed changes to police policy and procedures, including training in relation to strip searches in general. Recent pill testing trials at the Groove and the Moo Festival in Canberra and a UK festival found that 20 to 43% of drug tests were not what festival attendees believed they had purchased, placing them at risk of consuming contaminated or mislabeled drugs. For example, at the Groove and the Moo trial, 40% of people who used the service and knew others using the same drug reported they would share their test results. Research showed 1 to 5 participants discarded their drugs in the bins provided at the testing space. Many more, according to those involved, discarded their pills in nearby bins outside the tent too. Former Premier Gladys Berejiklian refused to consider the idea and announced instead the appointment of a panel to advise on ways to reduce drug use at music festivals. New South Wales Labor leader Michael Daly, on the other hand, said his party is open to the idea of implementing pill testing in Australia. With the Australian festival season kicking off, health groups are calling for the government to introduce more measures for drug testing in festivals for the safety of festival goers before more deaths occur. Now to Noah on the ground doing interviews.
Thank you. A very interesting and current topic. Let's ask some of the people at the Innovation Campus their opinions. So who am I here with today?
My name is Reese.
My name is Colin Cokes. I work here at the Innovation Campus. I'm the technical officer for the section.
Hey, my name's Ethan. I study here. That's about it.
My name is Aaron.
Do you think pill testing encourages drug use, or do you reckon it saves any lives?
I think in some circumstances it can definitely save people, but for the most part, people are going to do whatever they want.
Just coming off the top of the bat, probably yes to a certain extent. It sort of condones it in some ways. So therefore, if it condones it, then it encourages it, yeah.
Probably not, but it kind of encourages kind of breaking the rules a bit, I guess. So there's kind of that bit of, oh, I'm a rebel, I'm tricking them, bah, sort of thing. So I mean, yes and no.
I don't know. I think people are going to do drugs, regardless. So yeah, I mean that's their way of trying to counteract it. I don't know if it's effective. So, but yeah, people are going to do drugs regardless of what they put in place to stop it.
What about strip searching at festivals? What's your opinion on that?
That's probably a bit far. A bit of invasion of privacy to a certain extent. Depends what you call strip searching. I don't know. It depends how far the strip search goes. I don't think it's really appropriate.
I think it can be pretty invasive, especially since you're just trying to have a nice time and you're having someone on you and checking you. It's not very comfortable, but I do understand the purpose.
I think depends, really. Depends on what strip searching you mean. I mean, like, if you're, like, looking at bags and whatever, that's fine. But, like, if you're, like, just actually, like, patting people down, it's like, they're not going to put that much effort, are they? They are, but, like, it's just kind of a privacy thing.
So people as young as 10 to 17 have been strip searched. Do you think that this is appropriate?
Yeah, not at all. It seems very illegal, I'd imagine. But I suppose, people in authority, they have that, they seem to be, doing these sort of things without permission. But yeah, that's disgusting, I think, so.
Well, strip searching someone 10 to 17 without consent from their guardian or parent would definitely, to me, in my mind, be against the law.
If they don't have guardian supervision, then no, it's not appropriate, like, at all.
Would you be okay, hypothetically, would you be okay with your kids being strip searched without adult supervision?
No, absolutely not. Definitely, no. That's weird.
Yes, but I don't think I would be comfortable with having a minor left unattended without supervision.
Do you find strip searching deters people from bringing drugs into festivals?
No, I think it's going to make them come up with new ideas to get away with it.
Probably not. It's like that dare thing, it just actually goes up if you try to stop it. So it probably doesn't actually do a lot.
Like I said before, I don't think people are going to do it regardless. So not really. Maybe some, but nah, generally not.
And the final question, do you think strip searching is ethical?
There are right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it. So that whole thing about, like, no supervision, or even, like, not being allowed to say no to it is a massive, bad way to do it, because you don't know what people have, or, like, what are they going through, and, like, they could have some sort of massive panic attack, and that'd be worse than drugs, maybe, I don't know.
No, yeah, based on what I said before, yeah, no, just seems wrong. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that, really.
I don't think it is.
Do you think pill testing is effective in preventing overdoses and saving lives?
It probably is effective for the people that don't know what they're doing. So, like, if it's, like, people who are, like, having their first time and then they have a strip search or a drug test or whatever, and they're like, oh, I tried to buy ecstasy and this was something completely different. And or it's like, this is way too much. I don't know what the right amount is, So, like, people who are having their first time, it probably is a good thing for them. Yeah.
Do you think that pill testing is an effective way of preventing or saving lives?
I don't know. Like, again, people do what they want, regardless of if it's a festival, whether it's, just going through life. People are going to take substances to, I guess some people it's a form of enhancing their experience of life, and some people it's more of an escape. So I think, I don't not at all, really. People got to do what they're going to do. So.
Our gun laws and gun control differ from America in many ways. In Australia, only 25% of our population have gun licenses, whilst in America, 45% of the population have a firearm license. This is because the way in which Australians and Americans receive their gun licenses are much more difficult than in America. Measures to decrease gun violence in America has been little to none, with even 565 mass shootings already this year, in comparison with Australia, where in April 1996 the tragedy of Port Arthur changed gun laws and gun violence in Australia forever. Within 12 days after the tragedy, Australia's police ministers agreed to a national firearms agreement that outlined a national approach to the regulation of firearms. Following these reforms, no mass shootings occurred in the next 22 years. It is estimated that without these reforms, there would be approximately 16 mass shootings between 1996 and 2018. Our gun death rate is 12 times less than the US, and young Americans continue to urge their government to put stricter gun laws in place. Now to our interviews on the street.
Thanks, Serena. It's Chloe, and I'm at the University of Wollongong Innovation Campus at the moment. And I'm here with Travis, who's currently studying screen and media here. I'm here with Doyle, who's also a student at the University of Wollongong. And today I have Ben with me. How are you going, Ben?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's good. Today I have Camille here, who's a teacher at the campus. Camille, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the gun laws of like Australia versus America kind of thing. Can you tell us a little bit about what your opinions are on the accessibility to firearms, in America?
My opinion on that, is basically I don't think anybody in any country should have that much access to lethal weapons in that capacity, period. Because I think humans have emotions and get angry, and responses happen to those things. So guns in places is, I think it adds to the massive issues with deaths from guns. It says it all. Yeah.
I think firearms should be banned. Like the fact that like kids and stuff like that, like they go to school and they're terrified if they're gonna get like shot or something. I don't think that's right. Not at all. No.
I agree.
When I went to school, I was like terrified if I had enough money for like lasagna at the canteen. Like the difference is like not cool, not on. I think it's almost a bit too accessible. Like being able to buy them in like Walmart, which is like a local version of Kmart. Like it's a bit too much, I reckon. I reckon if there's better background checks, it'd probably be better, but I still reckon they should ban them.
I think they're way too accessible to the point where it's just dangerous, especially in America, for guns to be a thing. I think it should be more for use by professionals for like hunting and workforces, and that's about it. Yeah.
I feel like most Australians, American gun laws strike me as absurd. Like just anyone I talk to, whenever a mass shooting happens in America or something, there's just like a general disbelief at the American attitude toward guns. I think it's such like a part of their culture that it isn't with us, that it's kind of hard to understand why they have such lax gun laws. So the American mindset towards guns is really foreign to me, and I can't wrap my head around it.
In Victoria, for children aged 12 to 17, they can legally apply for a junior firearm license. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I feel like to an extent it's okay, but I don't think sort of depends on what firearms they're actually able to use. I'm not in support of firearms, but it's also it's their choice to use it, and as long as they're not using it in negative ways.
Yeah. Do you think maybe 12 is a little bit too immature for 12?
I reckon 12 is a bit too young. Probably have it a bit older, but I reckon still it depends on how they use it.
I did not know about that. That seems like a bad idea. Any other states at all like that, or is it just Victoria?
Off the top of my head, I think there's a few other states like that, but in Victoria, we definitely know that children can get a legal firearm license.
Okay, that strikes me as slightly dodgy. I don't know. I'm sure there's provisions about supervision and things like that, but that sounds like it could be a bad idea.
I didn't actually know that, and I'm thinking at the moment, does that need an adult, I'm guessing, to be part of that? Yeah. And in what context that is? So that does surprise me, because I think then we rely on the adults in their life to be responsible, and I don't know if I have enough faith in our systems for that to actually be the case. Because you're relying on subjective parental processes to keep that in order. And I think that's too much.
And 12 is a very young age to be having a firearm licence, don't you think?
Look, I do. I think any age to have a firearm licence is interesting, but I think definitely 12, because I don't think a 12-year-old has the capacity to make the decisions that would come in and around a firearm licence. But I do think young people have amazing capacity for many things, but I just don't think the need for a firearm at that age is necessary.
Yeah. If Australia supposedly was to ease up on their gun laws, do you think you would purchase a firearm?
No, I don't think I would. One, because I'm a cheapskate and I'm sure guns are expensive. But also, just, I don't know, the hassle of owning one, it seems like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And also, I personally don't feel the need to. Like, I know some people have, they're like, oh, I need it for self-defense. I'm not that paranoid to where I feel like I need a gun, and just like the idea of recreationally shooting doesn't interest me very much.
Yeah. I mean, the current laws that we have in Australia, I'd say that we're pretty safe in the community.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, so my dad, for example, he's a gun owner because he used to go hunting and stuff, but like the police have to every now and then come and check that like he's locked his guns up properly and they're secure. So there's all sorts of, safeguards that I think are a good thing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It's like, as much as I hate guns, imagine owning a gun. That'd just be cool.
No, not unless, for example, I got a farm and then actually needed a reason for it. Not really.
Do you think Australia and America should completely ban firearms?
I don't think they should completely ban firearms, but I think they should completely ban firearms for civilians that don't actually have a proper reason. For example, if they're not out on the farm and they need to hunt or get rid of vermin, then they probably shouldn't have it. Yeah.
I don't know that a complete ban is necessary. I feel like the laws that we have on the books now seem sufficient to like stop just every random person having a bunch of guns. But I also feel like a complete prohibition, I almost feel like that would make things worse. It's like in the 1920s in America when they completely banned alcohol and everyone was just going nuts, like making moonshine in their backyard and stuff. I feel like having some outlet for people who really want to own a gun for recreational purposes is fine. But I think it's good to have lots of, paperwork that you've got to do and make it difficult.
Yeah, that's looking at the world in another way. And personally, ideally, I don't see any real need for firearms. I understand that people believe they need to defend themselves, but I think if we unpack what that looks like and what we're defending ourselves from, we could begin to see how we could have societies, not just in Australia but everywhere, without guns. Police in England didn't have guns for a long time, and they're still policed spaces.
Yes, I do. Like, not even, like, I think maybe hunting is an exception, but that's like a big exception. Like, that's like I don't think you need an AK-47 for hunting, like a rabbit or something. Like, I think they should ban it.
Yeah.
Or 90%, or like not even 99% of all guns should be banned.
In most states of the US, people are openly allowed to carry firearms on them in public. If Australia was to implement those laws, say for example in Wollongong, how do you think that would affect the community?
I think there would be a lot less people willing to talk to other people, and there'll be a lot more scared and worried people around because they've got a gun being flashed all the time around every corner. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's not a very friendly sight.
Really badly, I think. I mean, frankly, I feel like over the last couple of years there's been like a few sort of American political issues that we've sort of imported over here. Like, I remember late in lockdown, there was those really big and rowdy like anti-lockdown protests in, I think, Melbourne. And that feels kind of like an American thing that like people started to get really into. So I feel like we don't need any more of that sort of like far right American stuff going on in here. So no, I think leave the gun laws as they are.
Yeah, no. Fair enough. If, say, that Australia decides to ease their laws on gun laws, do you think you yourself would feel safe in public?
I think myself personally feeling safe would be one thing. I think we can get access to guns in the black market in Australia. So I think it's more the education around guns and the fact that we continue to respect the fact that we do have laws around those things and how do we behave to each other. and continue to monitor the black market in guns, as well as keep those. I believe we need to keep those strict rules.
Punishment for illegal activities with firearms in America is currently 2 years of imprisonment, where in Australia it's anywhere between 4 to 14 years. Do you think that's fair?
I think it would depend. For example, if it's 4 years because you accidentally shot someone, I think maybe to 12 years if you intentionally in Australia. I think that makes sense. But for 2 years in America, I think it should be more, depending on what it is. I think it should be much higher.
Yeah, because gun-related crimes are quite serious, aren't they?
Yes, and some fatal and never come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, I sort of think that most situations are individual, and I think it's quite complex. But I think that any of those laws, most of the time, are also bound in, our approach to particular individuals or groups of people, and biased, and also access to legal representation. So it's actually, I think, a recipe for inequality across the board. And when a young person has access to a gun, even a child, I think, I know they're being punished at great rates, but I think also that's the responsibility of the adults and the system. And I don't necessarily think the length of time it's important an issue, but I think it's why they've got the guns in the beginning and what's going on in certain societies and cultural groups that they're using guns. So I think that more money needs to be put to understand the why rather than the other end of the punitive side of it.
So Doyle, do you think Australia should consider having the same laws as America in regards to firearms?
No, I do not. I think Australia has better laws in general than what America does, especially with the fact that you need an actual logical reason to own one to legally have one.
And it makes us safer as well.
Yes.
Yeah.